All right, everybody. The topic that I want to cover right now is one of the first labs that we're going to do, which is creating a virtual machine in Linux. Now, in the past, we've always done this using VMware, and I thought I'd mix it up a little bit this semester. And we're going to install Linux a virtual machine, and then exploring the GUI of it using Oracle Box or VirtualBox. So, to give you a little background, computing power and resources have increased tremendously over the last 10 years. Um, One of the benefits of that is having a multi-core processor, which gives us the amount of processing power to allow us to run multiple operating systems on one machine. So, for example, this machine that we're looking at right now is just my laptop. So what we're going to do is this is going to be the host of another virtual machine. And that's one of the beauties of the computing power that we have today. So in this lab, we're going to install a Linux operating system in a virtual machine using the desktop virtualization application such as VirtualBox. So after completing the installation, we're going to be able to explore the GUI interface of of a Linux operating system, and you're going to see that the operating systems themselves are very similar to Windows. You still have your point and your click, but one of the beauties of it is in the Linux world is through the command prompt, we actually have a great deal more flexibility and power at our disposal. So one of the first things we want to do in part one of this is we're going to go ahead and we're going to download the Oracle VirtualBox. And you're just going to go to virtualbox.org, and then you want to go to the download link on that page. We're going to download VirtualBox 6.1 here. It's going to take us to this page here, and we're going to be using, you can see, as you can see, you can download multiple different types of a VirtualBox for different platforms. So if you're a Mac user, you've got a Mac version or a Linux version. I'm running a Windows machine, so I'm going to go ahead and download the VirtualBox, and you'll see it's an exe file here. It should be here shortly. It's a 103 meg file. And we'll come back when it's all up and done. All right, so now we're back. As you can see, VirtualBox has completed downloading. It's down here in my on the bottom of my Chrome page. I'm going to go ahead and run the application. I'm going to install VirtualBox on my machine here. I'm going to go ahead and click through the prompts. Okay. We're just going to go ahead and let it run the default pieces here for our install. We're going to use the default installation settings. And go ahead and tell it to install. Choose yes at your prompt. We're going to tell it to always trust the Oracle Corporation. Please call 7420. Right now we're going to have it we're going to open up VirtualBox here. And there it is. Now, as you can see, at this point, we have no virtual boxes or virtual machines created. So our next step is going to go to Ubuntu.com, and we're going to download an Ubuntu desktop image for us. Let's go to the download page. We're going to download the desktop. As you can see, it's coming in down here. It's a 2.6 gig file, so it's going to take a little bit of time. We'll come back when it's done. All right, we're back. As you can see, Ubuntu has been downloaded and is sitting in my downloads folder here. So in my Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager, I want to create a new virtual machine. So I'm going to hit the Add button. Sorry, I'm going to hit the New button, and I'm going to name my operating system. I'm just going to call it Ubuntu VM. It's going to be in my users, my mBridge VirtualBox VMs folder. The type is going to be Linux, okay, and it's going to be version Ubuntu 64-bit. I'm going to choose Next. Right now, how much memory do I want to give my machine? Okay, you want to make sure you see this green section right here, then it's red. Go ahead and bump it up. Give yourself some there you go, 4096. Let me give myself 4 gig of RAM. You know, bump it up. Recommended memory they're saying is 1024. Your machine is going to run so slow if you run it at that. So go ahead and hit next. Right? Now, if you wish to, you can add a virtual hard disk to your machine. Understand, folks, that a virtual hard drive is nothing more than a folder on your computer. It's not a real hard drive. It's just a folder on your computer that will emulate a hard drive. So I want to go ahead and say create my virtual hard drive. Recommended size of this they're saying is 10 gig. Right? And I want to go with the default, which is VDI, which is a virtual box disk image. I can do a VHD, which would also work, say, if I'm running VMware. Now, I want to choose, okay, storage on the hard drive. A dynamically allocated hard disk will use only the space in your disk that it needs, okay? Although it will not shrink, okay? A fixed size may take longer to create in some systems, but it's typically faster to use. I'm going to go ahead and use dynamic, which means, you know, it'll grow as I need it to grow. So here's where it's going to put it. It's going to put it in the folder VirtualBox VMs. Then it'll be in a Ubuntu VM, and then my file will be called Ubuntu VM.vdi for a virtual desktop image. Right? The size of the drive will be in meg is going to be the 10 gig in size. I'm going to bump it up to 12 and choose to create it. Okay, so right now, okay, it's going to create my image. It's currently powered off. It has not at this time installed the operating system. It's just getting ready to install the operating system. Okay, so now it needs to know where am I going to get the image. Okay, now in some cases you might have your image on a CD-ROM or a DVD-ROM. Okay, mine is located in my downloads folder. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to search for it by name. I'm going to go to my downloads folder, and there's my ISO. And I'm going to go ahead and choose that. So select my startup disk. Okay, I did that. Start. Still doing the install. Okay. Now at this point here, it's still not installed. Okay. So at this stage, okay, all it's saying is if you want to try Ubuntu or you want to install Ubuntu. If I choose to try it, it's not going to make any changes to the virtual machine. It's not going to create the virtual machine. It's going to let me play around in a RAM image of Ubuntu. I'm going to go ahead and choose to install Ubuntu. I'm going to use English language. I'm going to choose my keyboard layout, and it's important that you choose the right one here. And we're going to go ahead and do a normal install. Rather than you waiting on me here, I'm just going to pause the video and come back for each new stage, okay? All right, so now I'm on the next step. Now here it says erase disk and install Ubuntu. Don't panic, okay? It's not going to blow away your hard drive. What it's going to do is it's going to erase anything that might be in that folder that we created to make it a it's gonna erase the virtual hard drive so it can format it to a Linux format. Go ahead and choose install now. And I'm going to let it go through so you can see what it's doing here rather than pausing out. Okay. So now I'm at choosing your time zone. Okay, we're right here in the country, so we're going to go ahead and choose that one. So New York is the proper one for you. Okay. Now this one here, who are you? So you're going to put your name in here. Notice it just chose my first name and it called it Michael Virtualbox, so it also made it lowercase. Okay. Choose your password. I'm just going to make mine CNT class. Yes, it's weak, but I don't care. Okay, CNT class. And I'm also going to tell it to go ahead and log me in automatically when I open up Ubuntu. This is a private computer. It's my personal PC. No one's going to have access to it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause this while it does all the copying files information, just to make it a shorter video for everybody. Just wanted to give you a heads up where we're at here. We're looks about 70% on the completed on the install. This is about 10 minutes so far on running through this install. So it's a lengthy process. Don't panic. As long as you've given it enough RAM, you should be fine. If you have the ability later on in your settings, you can actually increase the number of processors, and that will also speed up your process. Finally, now we're at the end here. Installation is complete. We need to restart the computer in order to use a new installation. Understand, you're not restarting your actual desktop. You should be restarting the virtual machine. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now it says, please remove the installation medium and press enter. I've had students in the past just hanging tight, waiting it out, thinking that they have to remove something. The question I have to ask you is this. Did you put a CD or a USB drive in your computer to boot this up? The answer is no. We went to our download folder. So just hit enter. Right now it's just finalizing the installation of Ubuntu, and then it'll come up with the GUI, allowing me to log in, providing all goes well. And as you can see now, we actually have Linux Ubuntu running. Took a little longer than I expected, but it's up and running. And it's very similar. You can see over here on the right hand side, we've got Firefox. I have a way to get my email. I have a file explorer. I got a music app for Rhythmbox. Linux comes with a complete and free, okay, and that's a key there, free Office suite, help file, and then a welcome screen on what to do with Ubuntu. And then if we click this here, we can see even more applications that they have. Okay. Now this is so right now, if you needed to, you can go ahead and set this up and customize this and use this as your actual desktop if you wanted. Sign it into Google, get your Google Mail and everything else. Go to your Microsoft account, whatever you need to do to maybe get to your OneDrive. This is a security piece to get yourself up and running. You can choose to help keep Ubuntu running. Remember, Ubuntu and other Linux distros are they're open source, so they're really developed and kept alive and kept strong by what we call a Linux community. It's developers and application developers out there and OS developers who are who have a goal to make Linux better and free for all of you. You can turn on your location services if you like to. And there you go. Linux is up and running, ready to go. And what we want you to do now is I want you to go through and I want you to play around. Explore uh, the wonderful world of Linux. Okay, you can choose to install any updates you want right now. Okay. There, cancel out of mine. And there's my desktop that you're familiar with. There's my home folder where all my stuff will get installed. It really does have the Linux feel. I can also go in and resize my desktop if I need to, change the resolutions if I need to make things bigger. You can get this thing to actually fill the whole screen if you'd like. So they wanted you in the lab. They want you to go through and find a terminal. So if I want to go through here and look at my other applications. So there's the terminal. Now in Linux, as opposed to Windows, in Windows we call this the command prompt. In Linux we call this the terminal. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter on that. It's going to bring up a terminal emulation screen for me, which is going to allow me to uh, type in some commands. A lot of your power in Linux comes from working in the commands. So I want to type in ifconfig. This will allow me to see my IP address. So we have to install our net tools yet, it looks like. So let's go ahead and do that. Put my password in, which was CNT class. I think I put too many S's in there. Nope. Looks like it's not getting out to the internet, which is my issue. All right, so you may notice here that all of a sudden everything seemed to have gotten done. Okay. Now what I did is I went up here to my machine. I chose settings. I came down here to network, and I'm choosing to bridge my adapter to this guy right here. I chose OK, and then everything seemed to work. So let's see if we still need to run that NetTools again. Okay, so we're already at the newest version. So now I'm going to do an ifconfig, and now you can see that I have a 10.0.2.15 for my IP address. And I am bridged to my address over here on my other computer. Okay? And that right now will conclude. Not yet. Let me try something here. I want to see if I can make the screen bigger for you. Okay, so pressing the go back to a windowed mode at any time by pressing Host plus F. And the host key is the right control. So I do my right control, and then the F, I'll be able to bring it back. Let's do that. Okay. So I'm full windowed mode right now, but I don't like this view of this screen. Okay. So let's make this bigger if we can. So I'm going to go to the display. Go to the settings. So right now the resolution is 800 by 643, which is why it's so small. If we were to make this larger so that it would fit better into my computer screen, I'm going to go with, let's see how this one does for us. Let's go ahead and apply that, see if we like it. It's a little too big, as you can see down here, it doesn't quite fit. So let's go back to our old settings and change that to, let's go super high end here. That didn't do any good. Yeah, once again, you see my screen is dropping off from the bottom. It's going to depend on the display settings of your current desktop as well. Over by 768, let's give that a shot. I like that one a little bit better. So let's go ahead and keep those changes. And now it's like I have a full screen here. Yep, perfect. So I got my start button kind of down here for my applications. And now I have a nice big screen. And if I want to go back to windowed mode, I do Control F. And it brings me back to here. But still a not much nicer screen to look at as well. You know, to work with your network settings and see how they work. I would want mine to be able to receive my settings. All right, that's going to conclude our video for the day. Do me a favor, screenshot your display settings. Okay, I don't want to see mine. I want to see yours. Screenshot your desktop. Maybe go to a web browser and bring up D2L, because when you submit your when you submit your files to me, you're going to have to do them through here. And if your network setting is set up correctly, you'll be able to do it. If you're like mine, you say activation network connection has failed, so mine's not going to work. So if I try to go to my.hack.edu, it won't work. Because I have to go up here and fix my settings so that they are bridged. It is bridged, okay. And I'm going to want to turn my network on and turn my network off. All right, so right now it's not, I don't have any information so I can't bring my network interface up and down. So let's go to settings. Let's go to our network settings. All right, to give you an idea what I did to fix this problem, I took my computer and I went to my settings and I changed it back, okay, to NAT, all right, chose OK. Then I went back to my settings on my computer, which were here. You see the little red dot shows that they're open. I went to my network settings here. Okay, see my network here, and I turned it off, and then I turned it back on. It resets the adapter, and then if I go back to my terminal, you can see that I ran another ifconfig command right here, and it showed me that I have a 10.0.2.1, which is this. Now translate that to my outside address, which then enabled me so I can I can I can do a screenshot of this if I want to, or I can say, okay, this shows right here. Do a Control C, and then I can maybe open up like a kind of like a notepad file here. So maybe I can create a new document. Oh, that's the wrong one. That might be the one I want. And we're going to create a new document. I have too many windows open here. It's driving me absolutely bonkers. I'd like to have this full screen again so I can see what I'm doing. Oh, that's cool. Close out of some of these 1,000 windows I have open. Text editor. Too much is open here. I'm confusing myself. There you go. And I've copied and pasted my example there. Okay. I could also open up the Libre Writer, and if I wanted to, I could do a screenshot by doing a print screen, and that's supposed to work. So there's my screenshot, and I'm able to paste that in there. can do an Alt window to take a picture of a window. I should be able to do an Alt print screen. And you can see those files should be listed in here, I would assume, in my pictures. Let's look at that. Yep, and there's my 2 screenshots. And I could submit them right to D2L from where I'm at. Okay? All from not using this down here. That's my Windows. Okay? You got to pay attention. Okay? I would have to open up this, go to my login, log in, and I'm logged in. I would go to D2L, and I could just submit my work right from there. Okay, so you can do, when you do a print screen, it automatically takes that print screen, doesn't put it in the clipboard the way that Windows does. It takes your print screen image and puts it in your pictures folder, which is on, got a lot open. Take it all the way out here back to our desktop, make life easy, right? Cancel that. There we go. There's my terminal. So if I were to go to the Michael folder, that's where your pictures would be. So all your screenshots would go in there, and you can just submit things into your folder from here, from Linux, or you can do a Windows print screen as well to do it that way. I hope you enjoyed our little lab on how to create a virtual Ubuntu virtual machine using Oracle Box, and this is lab that you're going to have to do as well.